So it probably looks like I'm being brainwashed in some sort of science fiction movie. But these nodes on my head and this monitor on my hand are actually measuring my emotional response to what's on the screen. But let's back up a step. Why am I staring at logos? Earlier this year, 2020 candidate Pete Buttigieg started getting some buzz for how committed his campaign is to graphic design. Take a look at his logo. It's pretty different from what we're typically used to seeing. And on PeteForAmerica.com, you can find their design toolkit, which includes customizable logos, unique rally signs for all 50 states, NBC, and Puerto Rico, and they even provide hex codes, so if you want to make your own stuff, you can match their official colors exactly. So all of this made me wonder, how much of an impact can design and branding really have on a political campaign? Here at SPARK Neuro, they study how the brain reacts to stimuli.
Ultimately, everything that you do in life, all of your perceptions, all of your behaviors, that includes what products you buy, but that also includes who you vote for, is driven by these unconscious emotions that you're not always aware of. And so when we conduct studies like the one we just did with you, what we're looking for is what is happening with people emotionally and how might that change their behaviors.
Spencer Jarrell is SPARK Neuro's CEO, and the company has some street cred when it comes to politics.
You were collecting data in the 2016 election.
Yes, we were. Similar to what you experienced, we hooked people up, we watched their brain activity and other neurological response, and we showed them debate clips, and we showed them advertisements, and we showed them parts of speeches. And we specifically in Pennsylvania and Florida recruited likely voters, but who had answered the polls that they were undecided voters. And so when we would show them their charts and we'd say, listen, Trump is talking about immigration, and you had a really, really powerful reaction here. And we learned that amongst those undecided voters, many of them were not actually undecided. They either just didn't want to admit because they were for fear of being judged, or they had not yet gone down the route of understanding how their emotions would impact their vote.
So, based on what they were seeing in the raw emotional data, SPARK Neuro began asking the question that not a lot of people were. Could Trump be our next president? I wanted to see how I'd react to what was on the screen. Spencer's team started me off with a clip from a movie as a control test of sorts to see how I'd react to something truly emotional.
So what we're looking at now is the intensity of your emotional levels. What I found really interesting is when the scene first starts, you just immediately engaged in it. Your first reaction is really when he draws the gun out.
Yeah, oh, there's my sort of...
Right. And then when they start screaming, that's when the reaction gets a little stronger.
Then we moved to logos. We asked SPARK Neuro to use a sampling of logos from 2020 candidates. They also threw in some logos of popular American brands as a baseline. Spencer emphasized that anything we learned today was anecdotal. They'd need a lot more participants to draw any real conclusions. But interesting nonetheless.
So you have like a couple emotional little spikes here as you're looking at Johnson & Johnson.
It's so funny because these are so minimal compared to the spikes that we saw in the video.
Minimal, right. And that's natural, right? One of the interesting things about emotion is that the stronger of an emotion you feel, the more likely you are to encode that in your memory. And candidates are really looking for name recognition and for being remembered. Okay, so let's go to Warren. So Warren, you retained high emotion for most of the time. And then, I mean, in the end, you just kind of...
I just dropped off. I mean, it's funny because that's not the logo that I would typically expect for Warren. When I was looking at Warren's logo, I was doing a lot of thinking about the why and just the colors, and so I think I was just thinking about that, which may result in the intensity.
Another one that I just thought was really interesting in seeing your response was Pete Buttigieg. So this one, you just kept climbing. And this one also it's just very different from your standard political logo.
Right.
And so because of that difference, it may be that it's evoking stronger emotions because of that.
President Obama's O symbol, Hillary Clinton's H, even the iconic red MAGA hat. They all broke the mold, did something a little bit different. And so it kind of seems like, simply put, different is better.